Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We'll now begin with the Finance Committee meeting, and the time is 7:24. Agenda item 2.1, presentation on delinquent tax collections.
Good evening, Board President, members of the board, Ms. Servillon. This evening we have invited Linebarger. We have Mr. Moody as well as Ms. Ariana, and they will be presenting on our delinquent taxes.
Good afternoon, Board President, ladies and gentlemen of the board, Superintendent. My name is Ariana Curiel. I'm one of the attorneys at the Linebarger office. This is actually my first time in front of the board, so thank you for having me, and I'm very excited to be here. With me today is Mr. Mark Moody, who is our Client Relations Manager, so he came with me today. So I'm here to present on your delinquent tax collection program. And so it's all the efforts that we do to collect these delinquent taxes for San Benito CISD. So we do these methods or approaches to taxpayers in order to collect these delinquent taxes back to the district in several ways. And I'll speak about them in just a moment, but we do collect your delinquent taxes. Current taxes are collected by your Cameron County Tax Office, and that's led by Mr. Tony Izaguirre. And I know they do a number of things, and by statute, they file or mail several notices to the taxpayers in your jurisdiction, in San Benito CISD jurisdiction. And I know they sent several notices, such as the one we all love in October, our October tax bill. So I know by statute, Mr. Izaguirre follows that, and we all receive that tax bill, and that's for your current taxes. After that, I know he sends out another notice on behalf of Cameron County Tax Office for his office, and that's in January, just to remind your taxpayers in the jurisdiction that they just have a month before February 1st to pay these current taxes before they become delinquent on February 1st. So he sends that notice too. In May, there's another notice that gets sent out to all your taxpayers in your jurisdiction, and that is in May. But we actually do that in conjunction with Mr. Izaguirre and his office, since we send it out to all Cameron County taxpayers, including the taxpayers in your community, just letting them know that if they haven't paid their delinquent taxes that got turned over, or not got turned over, but that became delinquent on February 1st, if they do not pay them by July 1st, there's an added penalty by statute, and then they get turned over to our firm for collection. And so those are some notices that get sent out by the Cameron County Tax Office, and those are your current taxes. On our delinquent taxes, so we are hired by your district to collect delinquent taxes and just delinquent taxes, and we do that in several ways. I talked about notices, and that's one of the biggest hits that we have, or biggest efforts that we emphasize in our office. And I'll go to this next slide.
So you're saying after 6 months is basically when you guys come into play?
Yes, so
Okay.
delinquent taxes don't come to us till July 1st. So for 2021, say a taxpayer in your jurisdiction right now has not paid the 2021 year, they are delinquent, but they do not get turned over to us until July 1st. So they basically still have some time to pay without us filing a lawsuit against them or receiving notices from us, unless they do receive a notice, and they will be receiving a notice in May letting them know, hey, you have the summer months to pay before an added penalty is added, and that's by statute, and then they get turned over to us. So
Gotcha.
July 1st.
Thank you.
So we do several approaches, and this slide just has a list of the things we do, and I'm just there are multiple bullet points, and it's just many things that we do in our office for the school district, and that's taxpayer assistance program. And I'll dive into these a little more just in a few minutes. And we have mailings, which is one of our biggest hits, as I just mentioned. We have property research, we have litigation support, we have tax sales, we have resales program, we have tax warrant programs, we have bankruptcy representation, we have accounting, we have auditing, oversight. We also have in-house tax assessor collector, press releases, written legal opinions, forfeitures, condemnations, legislative updates, proactive problem solving with appraisal districts, and in this case, Cameron Appraisal District, and legal services. But and I did want to emphasize two basic principles that we do focus in our office, and that's, we like to call it the Linebarger approach. So the LIBOR approach is working with individual taxpayers on a day-to-day. So we do that every day. If you ever come into our office, you'll see our office is staffed, and we're very fortunate to have a staff of more than 25 litigation assistants, office managers, area managers, collectors that work on a day-to-day to collect these taxes for San Benito CISD. So that's our first approach, and there's many things that we do on that first approach. And our second principle in that LIBOR approach is using the last resort, which is litigation, the tool of litigation, and that's filing a lawsuit against a taxpayer in your jurisdiction, and that's the last thing we want to do. So that's our second principle. But in the first principle, so we work with individual taxpayers all the time. And by this, mailings, and I said that earlier, and we do that because we send 10 mailings for the school district throughout the year. So a taxpayer will receive 10 notices from us throughout the year. The only time that they don't receive one is in January, and the other one's in October. And why do we do that? In January, we don't want to compete with your current taxes. We know the Cameron County Tax Office is sending a notice letting taxpayers know if they haven't paid their October bill, that's the last month to pay it. So we don't want to compete with that. October, again, you're getting your October tax bill. We don't want to compete with your currents. We want your current taxes to be paid. But aside from that, we do send notices throughout the year to taxpayers. And these notices, I have a sample on this next slide, and you'll see the sample. It shows where they can go, how they can pay, our address, and if they also call our office, we give them an opportunity to maybe mail in a payment. They can even do a wire transfer. They can't go in person. I know COVID was difficult, and there was different avenues that they could use. We even had a curbside for them, and now that thankfully things are getting better with COVID, we have our doors open. We have taxpayer rooms where they can come in and actually explain. I understand there's many different scenarios that maybe someone is going through a difficult time and they just need a payment arrangement with our office, and we're willing to work with them. We're here to collect delinquent taxes for the school district, but we're also there to work with an individual taxpayer if there's a hardship. And the Texas Property Code allows us to do payment arrangements with taxpayers, so we do that and we emphasize that a lot. So if a notice gets mailed to a taxpayer and they react to it, hopefully they do make a call. And if they don't make a call, we will still call them. So we place outbound calls every day, and we also receive calls, and most of these are from notices that taxpayers receive. And sometimes taxpayers have questions. What can I do? I can't pay my payment, or I can't pay my taxes in full, and that's where we come in and explain what options they have. And as I said, we're always there willing to work with them. There's sometimes that we've seen taxpayers not being able to enter into a payment arrangement just because they can't afford a monthly, an added monthly payment from all their other bills that they might have. We won't reject any payment. If they can only give $10, we will accept that. But of course, we want to collect delinquent taxes for the school district, so we will still pursue contact with them and maintain contact so these delinquent taxes come back to the school district. So that is one of the methods, and I think it's one of the most effective methods in our office that we do, and it's these notices. And again, it's 10 mailings that we do throughout the year. The next slide is just another notice, and one of them is in Spanish. Another one is in English, and this is a homeowners assistance program that is actually being offered right now. That is by the state of Texas. And we explain to taxpayers, and this just started the month of late March, early April. The state of Texas came out with the program. It's called the Texas Homeowners Association or Resource Program. I'll have the exact name. Texas Homeowners Assistance Grants for delinquent property taxes and late mortgage payments. And this is the eligibility and usually the flyer or the information that we give to taxpayers. So this program is available to any taxpayer in our area, and not just in our area, in the state of Texas, but we tell your taxpayers that there's this available. And this just came about, again, late March, early April, and they can qualify based on these guidelines, and we just let them know we can't apply for them, we can't tell them what to do, but we can give them tax statements or any resources they might need for or may need for this application. And I know we sent out notices I think it was early April, late March, and we were the 4th in the state of Texas. So I think before us, it was Dallas County, Harris County, but we were in the top 4. So Cameron County was one. So your taxpayers definitely have had this information. And if they did not receive a notice, they definitely received a call. We went through all our delinquent accounts that we might have seen that, hey, they're delinquent and may qualify, gave them a call and explained what this program was about and offered this. And we've received some answers from some taxpayers that have gotten accepted and have gotten monies pay the delinquent taxes, and these payments go directly to the taxing entities. So it doesn't go directly to a taxpayer, so it will go directly to the entity, San Benito CISD, and then taxes get paid. And most of these cases are hardship cases. It was during COVID-19. The program started with, we will just pay 2020, 2021, because those were COVID years, and the state understood it was part of the American Rescue Plan. So they were just paying those years. But the program is evolving, and I know they've made some modifications and have added more years. Now it can go back to 2016, and it's a revolving program, and then we're dealing just with the state of Texas, but we're definitely letting your taxpayers know about this program. So there's additional notices taxpayers in your jurisdiction receive from our office, and it's just not notices of delinquency, but also of programs that are available for them. In addition to the mailings, I set calls. If you walk into our office, usually the end of the month is very busy, so you'll see people on calls, you'll see people outside our office. So that's another another method we use to contact taxpayers. So we place outbound calls, we receive calls, and we're there to work with them, whether it's in English and Spanish. We have litigation, or we have collectors, or we have office managers, area managers that will answer these calls and help your taxpayers. In addition to that, if a notice has not helped, and if a call hasn't helped, if the taxpayer has ignored or just not received the notice, or if the taxpayer has not received our calls or has ignored our calls, we will also go out to the home and inspect the home. And so by inspection, I mean, we have inspectors that we go out on the field and see these homes, and sometimes it is an abandoned home, or maybe it's a vacant lot, and we just gather more information. And sometimes it does look an abandoned home, but there is someone living there. We do get information, and we might direct them if there is an elderly person, maybe we can direct them to the Cameron Appraisal District, or just give them the tax bill and know what is happening if they don't have means to mail or a phone or any of those means. So we do give that to them in person. Sometimes we do visit with neighbors and see what the property in question, if they may have any information or any feedback from the property in question that is delinquent. Sometimes they know who lived there or who visits the property, and that is very useful for us. So we do that, property inspections, and we used to call them knock and talks, but I know during COVID it was different, so we just don't call them inspections. And even if we do a knock and talk now, and we haven't gotten anybody else, and we do file a lawsuit, we still do an inspection just to make sure nobody has moved in or something has changed in the property. And as a last resort, we do file a lawsuit. So if we've exhausted all these options for the school district, if we've already mailed notices or made these calls or gone to the property and nobody has come forward on behalf of the school district, we do file a lawsuit for that taxpayer, or against that taxpayer, I should say. And it depends. We won't be filing a lawsuit for a person that owes $300. We understand that there's court costs and other added costs through the court system that get added onto this. So it's not only going to be the delinquent taxes that they need to pay, but also these costs. And whenever we do that, we do think about it and analyze every account. And I know every account is different. We do initiate a lawsuit. Once we do initiate a lawsuit, we want to secure a judgment on behalf of the school district, and that is to, at the end, foreclose and sell the property. But even during litigation, if we have initiated a lawsuit, however, a taxpayer then comes forward it's not the end of the day or not the end of the world for them. I always tell them, still contact our office, and you can still get into a payment plan. There's been many occasions I'm the attorney that goes to court on behalf of San Benito CISD, so I see it all the time, and we can still work with them. And you'll see it on the next slide. There are some statistics that we have, and that's our litigation summary. And these numbers change every day, but this is a snapshot of last week of where we were at for San Benito CISD. So it changes every day. As of last week, we had filed 62 lawsuits, and that dollar amount was $156,857. So we have filed lawsuits for San Benito CISD. Non-suits release judgments, those mean that taxpayers came in and paid. So we closed out cases, and those were 67 cases, and that's $210,000, $617 back to the school district. We have judgments. So as I said, we have, at the point that we've initiated a lawsuit, we do secure a judgment, and the judgment is needed in order to move forward and foreclose on this property and sell it at a tax sale. And in judgments during this time, we had 37 of them, and that amounted to a total amount of $163,951. So that's 37 judgments that we might have never heard back from a taxpayer, and there's times that we never do. It might be a deceased and no heirs came forward, and we do, by law, there is a court ad litem or attorney ad litem that gets appointed to these cases. They do another report aside from us, just so it could be transparent. And if nobody comes forward, we do secure a judgment on behalf of the San Benito CISD, and then move forward to foreclose and sell this property, or sell the property at auction. So those were 37 judgments. Tax warrant activity, those were 12, a little over 38,000. And this is usually your businesses that may owe taxes, and they're open and owe taxes on their inventory. Most of the time we see it with trucks, 18-wheelers. So that's your tax warrant activity. Pending litigation, so we have 274 of them. That's $980,933. That is pending litigation, meaning they're either just file lawsuits or they're in payment arrangements. They're working. They're working with our office in payment plans. So sometimes they do come into our office. However, they have a balance and they're paying that monthly. We don't want to file a lawsuit on behalf of San Benito CISD if the taxpayer in your jurisdiction is paying, and we don't want them to incur added costs that they might not be able to afford if they already are delinquent. So we do monitor those for you, and pre-litigation activity is those accounts that maybe are delinquent but have just gotten turned over to us. So those usually are the new ones. On this case, we usually see maybe a 2020 year. For example, for this year, we see a 2020 year that is delinquent, and it was maybe minimal, but there are also they're delinquent in 2021, but they haven't been turned over to us since the year 2021 hasn't been turned over to us, and that is turned over to us till July. We're already targeting those for suit, and that is 122,000, a little over 122,000, and that's 20 cases. But we do a number of things in order to collect your delinquent taxes, and we do, after securing a judgment, we do tax sales, and we have a tax sales department in our office who works hand in hand, and we have a team that just focuses on these properties that we're ready to auction off. And even at the, I see it all the time, even the same, it's all, by law, we need to sell these properties the first Tuesday of every month. And whenever we are having an auction and we are having a sale on a Tuesday, a person might come in 15 minutes before to pay. We do allow them to pay it, and we get that property off the tax sale list. And if they can't pay the balance in full, we still offer them a payment arrangement. We're there to help them. But again, we are trying to secure collections for the school district and delinquent taxes. So for those that do not make contact with us, we do proceed in selling and foreclosing and selling these properties.
Ariana,
Yes.
may I interject real quick
Yes.
while we're looking at this screen? So these dollar amounts that are here, these are dollar amounts that are actually owed to San Benito CISD, or not necessarily? Some?
Some are. So non-suits release judgments already went back to essentially, yes.
Okay,
Yes, like non-suits release judgments, you got that money back already. So meaning for release judgments, and I could separate the amount, I just don't have it there on that chart, but release judgments means it's been paid in full.
Okay.
So we took a judgment but then released it because it got paid in full. And non-suits, it might be that they owed $400, so we non-suited the case, meaning we closed the case just because they were on their way out from $5,000. They only owed $300, so we closed out the case.
Got
So
it.
it might be that some of the amount is not all back to the district, but most of it is.
okay, thank you.
And I talked about bankruptcy proceedings earlier. We do bankruptcy and we monitor accounts for the school district as well. Legally, we cannot touch those accounts, but we still monitor just in case if they do get discharged or dismissed from bankruptcy. We do want to make sure we target that account and collect those delinquent taxes. Sometimes they do get into payment arrangements with our office, and we're, like anybody, like any other taxpayer, we're willing to work with them. But if they don't, we do, again, secure a lawsuit, secure a judgment, and foreclose on these properties. But aside from that, those are all the efforts we do for San Benito CISD. We try to work with everyone, but we are trying to bring back delinquent taxes back to the school district. We know it's been hard during COVID-19. However, last year, I think in looking at statistics, it was the best year for San Benito CISD since 2002. We were almost at a 36 or 37% in collections. I think the stimulus checks definitely helped. This year, we're on a good path. We work in your fiscal year, so we have till August 31st, so we're still on a good path, and we're monitoring collections every day for you. But yes, we do many efforts for the school district. If you have any questions, I'm here and I'm available for them.
Thank you, Ms. Guriel. Very interesting, very informative. I really appreciate it. One of the things that I, as a board member, worried about when I was seeing the amounts the last time we were presented, I had seen that we had collected 82% of the taxes, and after you explained why, the process and the timeline, when you presented last month, the 20% that haven't submitted their payments is because they still have until June the 30th, and that's where most of them will come in. And if not, then that's when they become delinquent.
Yes.
And so that explains a lot.
No, you are correct, Ms. Lopez, and yes, you'll be seeing those numbers increase in the next summer months. I think, especially after that notice, they know that they have only till July 31st, or not July, June 30th or June 31st. Before July 1st, they have to pay, and you'll see your numbers increase in current taxes. I wish I had more information on your current taxes, but I know your staff is great. They're experts at that. And I know Mr. Izaguirre sent some monthly reports on that, so they'll have that information. But for delinquent taxes, we'll definitely see that jump after July.
Right, okay, great. And what are some of the reasons that you hear from our taxpayers why they are not able to pay the taxes? What are some of the more common hardships that they have?
There's definitely different ones. There's some that I hear, they might have lost some loved ones during COVID. Recently, I just heard one in court that she had lost two loved ones during COVID. She had to pay for those expenses, so she didn't pay her taxes. Having children that are ill or going through COVID, lost a job, just receiving unemployment money. And some just say, I didn't keep track of my taxes. We get every reason, but in the recent months, we've heard that. It was during COVID-19, they might have had a loss, or they just lost a job. But I can't say one in particular. Everyone is different, but we've definitely heard most of those.
Yeah, and when they do have a hardship, you explained that you help them with a payment plan.
Absolutely. So whenever we do that, we have a system in our office. It's an electronic file that we have that anybody in our office can see. So if someone is out, the other assistant will see, or the other attorney will see it, and we'll make sure to make that note, and we'll code it a hardship case. Or if it's not even a hardship, we'll let whoever is seeing that file hey, we spoke with this taxpayer and they just lost a loved one. We're trying to work with them. They might not have the payment now, but they'll have it next week. We can all see those notes, and it's crucial. We say it every day at the office. Notes are very important for our files and the codes, and so it's definitely something we follow at our office.
It sounds like y'all are doing a great job. Does anybody have any questions, any comments?
No, thank you so much. That was a lot of information. I appreciate it.
Great job.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Curiel.
Thank you.
And to the taxpayers, now you know the process, and thank you so much, taxpayers, if you're watching, for paying your taxes on time, and those of you that experience of hardship, now you know also what can be done.
There is
Thank
help
you.
out there. So,
There's help.
Thank you, Ariana.
Thank you.
thank you, Mr. Moody, also.
So, agenda item 2.1, which is just for presentation purposes, so we could learn more as a board. A lot of us are new, and I really appreciate you all being here today with Linebarger to help us learn more. Thank you. Agenda item 2.2, review and discussion of the proposals for student athletic insurance for a one-year period.
Yes, ma'am. So the purchasing department went out for proposals for student and athletic insurance. We do this every year. This year, we had 4 responses to that RFP, and we are requesting that you, at the next board meeting, accept the proposal from Achieve Financial Group in the amount of $152,000. I looked at last year's amounts. Last year, we paid $193,000 with a $20,000 discount due to COVID, so that's a total of $173,000. So this quote is still $20,000 less, $21,000 less than what we had last year.
Any questions, comments? I really like that you just said we're saving $20,000. That's great.
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm very grateful that the district is able to provide this insurance for the kids. I know that we have 98% of our kids that are economically disadvantaged, and
Yes,
so
ma'am.
if they take advantage of this insurance, it's helpful for them. So thank you for
Yes, ma'am.
doing that. That becomes an agenda item. 2.3, review and discussion of option to extend bid proposal RFP 0421 WCIFF, workers' compensation insurance for 1 additional year.
Yes, ma'am. So we are requesting to extend our current bid proposal that we have with TASB Risk Management Fund, and that is in the amount of $526,316. Compared to last year, we paid $496,524 on our estimate. So the difference in the amounts are due to estimates in our payroll. So if we have more payroll personnel, then it's going to increase. I just need you to know that this is an estimate. At the end of the year, they do come out and they do an audit on what our actual payroll was, and then we'll have a settle up or a settle down. They've been very good we've been right at the mark, so there is very little to settle up or down on that one.
Are there any questions, concerns? So that becomes an agenda item. 2.4, review and discussion of option to extend the proposal RFP 0521 Dpcnp dairy products for the child nutrition program.
Yes, ma'am. So we are requesting that the proposal that we had last year at this time be extended for an additional year, and there is no price change on this one. So that's really good considering we have prices going up everywhere. When we originally went out for this milk bid, it seemed kind of odd, but we actually did better than some of the purchasing co-ops that were out there locally. So I find it very interesting, but it was a great thing that we were able to get those savings for our district as well.
Any questions, comments?
So this is a 2-year extension? We're talking about a 2-year extension? 2 additional 1-year periods?
This is a 1-year extension. We have 2 additional years that we can
Oh, there you go.
extend it.
Okay.
This is for 1 year. Next year, considering what the prices are, how the service is, then we may request for it to be extended again depending. No, not at all.
Agenda item. 2.5, review and discussion of the lease agreement for district-wide copiers.
Yes, ma'am. So We took the lease agreement to the board on May 9th, 2018. That was done by Mr. Cavazos, or Ms. Gonzalez, I'm sorry, previous purchasing director. And the the copiers that are listed in your packet, there are 7 copiers that were not part of that because the lease was not up at that time. So we're requesting that these 7 additional copiers, which are they're still under lease right now, are added to the lease that we have from May 2018. That was a mouthful, I'm sorry.
Any questions, comments?
Last year, we extended the lease on certain copiers, so they all kind of have different days?
They do.
Okay. Are we
And I know
trying to consolidate them, or?
Yes, I have asked Mr. Cavazos to see if we can get to where we are doing one lease agreement for the entire district. So we are trying to get that,
Consolidate.
we're phasing that in as we can.
So these copiers, Ms. Bettis, at our lease, whenever they go down, we haven't had any issues as far as getting them exchanged out.
Not that I know of. I do have Mr. Cavazos available, sir. Would you mind joining us?
Good evening, President Moreno, members of the board, Mr. Cervello. Your question?
I was just asking if, since they're on a lease program, at any point, whenever they break down and they have to get parts and
Well,
stuff,
the lease is for 4 years. So at any point in time, when they break down during those 4 years, the service is free, the toner is free, all
Awesome,
that
that's what I was
stuff.
gonna
All we have to do is just call a repairman, they come and fix it.
so we haven't had any issues as far as
No,
them
sir.
coming in?
No, not that I know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cavazos.
Agenda item
Yes, ma'am.
2.6, review and discussion of digital ticketing and event management software service agreement.
Yes, ma'am. So the athletic department, looked at several different avenues for electronic ticketing for our school district, and it's not just for football. This is absolutely across the board. We would like to implement it with football, see how that works, move into our junior highs. After that, we can implement this in UIL activities or any kind of activity, and it can be, I did sit in a webinar with, in a Zoom with Coach Gomez, and they were very informative. I do have to let you know that there were 3 that we spoke with, Hometown, Ticket Spigot, and High School Ticket. There is a fee, a $1 per ticket plus 2.9% transaction. And, do we have Coach
But that
Gomez? Yes.
2.9 is just
That
in
exceeds-
overall, or is it for each individual trip?
It's per ticket, and that is extended to the customer.
Was this done at the request, or did we decide to do this on our own?
Members of the board, Ms. Cervello.
We do have Coach Gomez, if you would like to take over, sir.
Okay, questions?
Was this done at the request of?
The
Like,
request of?
did you just decide that we needed
Well,
electronic ticketing, or?
We are the only school in our district that does not have online ticketing. So right now, the way the ticket purchase would go if we do not, for next year's football, is that when we open up to sell tickets for Friday night game that's being played at our place at Bobby Morrow, people from, or who we're playing, let's, for instance, we're playing Los Fresnos, they would have to come and stand in line with our fans to purchase tickets. Because the old way is we would take our tickets, take them to Los Fresnos, and they would sell them, but they don't do that anymore. They do strictly online. So they don't provide that service for their fans, so their fans would have to drive and wait in line with our fans throughout the week to purchase their tickets.
So
Coach,
my issue with this is that we have a lot of San Benito Greyhound fans,
Yes,
and we have a lot of elderly San Benito Greyhound fans that don't have the means to access technology to purchase these tickets. What
If-
is our contingency plan?
if they have gone to any of our games the last 2 years away, they've had to purchase online tickets because everybody is online that we've been playing. The service that we could provide in-house is that if they're having issues, they could come to our office and we'll set it up for them on their phone, or we'll even purchase it for them through their phone or through our computer. We don't have a problem with doing that for our fans. I feel like we would have more of our fans using this service and it being beneficial for them than those that are having a hard time where all they have to do is come into our office and we would help them set that up.
Coach Gomez, since the ticket would be all electronic, we could keep or be updated constantly as how many tickets are being sold, right? I mean,
Yes,
immediately, we're gonna
this
be
is
able to
full
see that
transparency
immediately.
with our ticket sales and how many tickets we're selling, how many people attend, because you can sell 3,000 tickets and only 2,500 people come in attendance. So you would know that as well. It spits out reports. It does give us some good transparency with our biggest ticket sales, which is our Friday night football games.
Did you want to go ahead and also review about what we said about the ticket cost and how we would incur that cost? For
Yes,
our
I do
fans?
know, that Los Fresnos and Harlingen both use hometown ticketing. That is the one that we researched as well, along with the other two. And hometown ticketing just has, their reputation is just better. They're bigger as far as servicing universities and high schools. And just the information that they put out with the security that they have, because you are putting your information online. These individuals and this entity has so many certifications and do so many background checks on the people that they hire, knowing that they're going to deal with so many people's
Credentials.
personal information. So, and these other two, they did not have any of that information. So just reading upon that was assurance that this hometown ticketing does do a really good job. Now, Harlingen pays, because a high school football ticket costs $8. Hometown and the other two also charge, they add $1 to that plus a processing fee. Harlingen picks up the $1 that they are charging, that hometown ticket's charging, and the consumer picks up the processing fee, which hometown has a 2.9%. So $1, that's 30 cents that they add, so it would be $1.30 they're adding to an $8 ticket. The school picks up the $1 and the consumer stays with the 30 cents that they paid for that ticket, or for the transaction, actually. So you can buy 3 and it's per transaction.
I have another question. So Harlingen also has their Performing Arts Center that they use electronic ticketing. Do
Yes.
they use hometown
Yes.
tickets for those as well?
Yes. Once you have, this service does not cost us anything. Of course, if we want to pick up, as a school district, pick up the fee, then that's what we pay. But once you have this service, they put it on the school website, and any organization within our school district can use it. They can sell dance tickets, prom tickets, concert tickets, anything that that we can do, they can just set up, they get in, they set up for them, and they are able to access it.
I just
And
have
how-
one last, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, season tickets?
Season tickets, the way that is set up, like in the past, season ticket holders have their dates that they come in and buy, so they would get a code, and they would be able to punch that code into the computer, and only them would be able to go in during those days and buy those tickets first.
So I'm dying to interrupt here. One of the things.
You already had your
No,
turn.
no, sir. I'm dying here. One of the questions that we asked when we were attending that Zoom was, how do we make sure that the students who are on the sub-varsity, how are they getting in? Because they have a lesser price, don't they? So they have student tickets. And so we can program that ourselves so that they are already paying that student ticket price instead of the full price. Season tickets, comp tickets, visitor passes, board passes, all of those is part of the program itself. So we had a huge amount of questions.
The three that we really spent time on were the ones that are out there within the valley in the state of Texas. Hometown ticketing dedicates an individual to the school for customer service. So all these other ones, when you call them, you can get a different person every time you call. You can call 4 times in one day and get 4 different people. Hometown ticketing, you're going to get the person that's dedicated to San Luis ISD when you call, so that if you have a consumer or the school has any questions, they call them and you're going to get that person. So they'll have a deep insight into what and how we do things with San Benito.
Am I getting my same seats that I've had since Bobby Morrow opened in 2008?
Yes. Ticket Spigot, just on the note, Ticket Spigot last year, because Brownsville's on Ticket Spigot, and there may be 2 other schools in the valley. They, what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, they crashed 3 times in the season on a Friday night. Ooh, really? Yes. Hometown ticketing, you can just tell, has a bigger network of technology for them to be able to mass hold lots of information. And they haven't had any issues. The people that we spoke with haven't had any issues with Hometown. I do know that, speaking to Los Fresnos, once they got going, just like any other, service that you're first getting, they had their learning curve, and then once they got it, they really enjoy it and say it's a very simple, easy service to use for everybody.
I like the idea. The only question I had, Coach Gomez, was, is there a contract with them if we use? No,
It's a
no
service
contract, it's
agreement,
just-
that's it, but there's no contract. We
Okay.
can drop at any time that we wish to.
Awesome.
Again, they don't charge for the service, it's just the processing fee and the ticket cost. And we as a district, I know Ms. Servillon brought it up about, picking up some of the costs for our fans, for our loyal fans that come to our games year in, year out. I think it shows great appreciation for them because there's nothing like the heartbeat of a Bobby Moore Stadium on a Friday night with the crowd out there. So,
And it has other functions, right? You said that it also helped with scheduling.
yes, right now we have a system that's called Rank One that we do that we run our kids' physicals through, and we can also set our scheduling through Rank One, and that just coincides with this program where all our scheduling it bleeds and marries together. So you're not punching in schedules for hometown ticketing, you're not punching in schedules for Rank One. Once you get into one, they just bleed together. Information and any announcements that go out, we can get that through that same function where everybody that has an email and gets and purchases a ticket through hometown, whenever we have anything of changes of times or games, everybody gets that email. And so
Wow.
they get that message. They get that message as well.
Will you have a backup for people that were not able to purchase online and they
Yes.
show up at the gate?
They can, yes, we will be selling at the gate for those who maybe just could not get it done. We can process them there at the gate. Let's say, for instance, their phone goes out too and their ticket's on their phone. Well, we have a buyer's list, a purchase list. So we have their names on the list that we can see and we can verify, and they just show us the ID and we let them in.
So even the people that maybe won't have a phone or they're not tech savvy, then they
Right.
can just
If they
buy
don't
it there
have
at
a
the
phone,
door?
with Hometown, you don't need an app. You can get on a computer and you can do it and print it out. You don't need a smartphone. With the other two, you need an app. So you would need smartphone or get on a computer to get an app. But with Hometown, it's just getting on the website, punching it in and doing those things.
How much are the devices that are going to be checking in people?
They use their phones. Our workers will use their phones to scan the other person's phone, and that's what they use. They do have equipment that you can buy, but talking to the ones that do have hometown ticketing said, you don't need it, coach. You don't need it.
Good.
You just use your phones and you just tag people in.
How many tickets do we sell a year, roughly,
Well, we sold,
for football?
when we played, this year, when we played Harlingen, we sold 11,000 something tickets.
And that was
So-
just
and
one
that-
game?
Yeah, and that's our biggest game. But it's important, I think it's important to have this service because Los Fresnos and Harlingen are our biggest sales, and they're online, and we'll have long lines if we go the old way with our
Right.
tickets.
And I'm just trying to figure out if we decide to pay the dollar fee, then how much it would cost us as a district, so.
Well, what we did, for instance, the sample that I put together was we sold 11,582 tickets, and let's just say we sold them all at $8, because we do have the breakdown of student tickets and so forth. But if we sold them at $8, that gives us $92,000 that we made. So if we just paid the fee, the $1 fee for the ticket, we would pay $11,000 for the $1 fee.
For that one game?
Yes. If we picked up also the processing fee, then we'd pay $15,000. So that'd be the processing fee plus the $1 would be $15,000. If we just paid the processing fee, the 2.9, then we would just pay $3,000. So,
Coach Gomez,
We could pick up the dollar.
so how would we know if it's one of our San Benito residents paying for a ticket when we're playing against another team? I mean, because we're picking up that dollar fee, you're saying, right? So what if it's? we're playing-
you're picking it up, everything that goes, that sold, every ticket that sold is what we'd be picking up. It's not necessarily for the fan, it's every ticket that's sold for that game.
So whether it's home or,
Yeah, it's Yeah, and it's not per, yes, it's not per ticket, it's per transaction. So if you buy 5, yeah, the transaction is a 2.9%. So it's not per ticket on that. But the dollar is per.
So buy for your entire neighborhood, basically.
Yes. Yes.
Any other questions, comments?
On another note, the revenue, we will receive it back at the school within 24 hours of the event. And Hometown is the only, they use a Stripe entity where Hometown doesn't mess with any of our revenue. This separate company handles all the monies because they don't want to worry about having to deal with monies. Their concern is making sure they get the best service to us. And so they have this company that deals with the monies. And we sat on in the webinar because Vicky's much smarter than I am when it comes to finances, and we wanted to make sure that everything was tight to where we would get it.
How many home games do we have?
We have 6 this year.
6? Okay. I'm
But
just trying to
also-
get a rough estimate. I'm just gonna estimate maybe about 5,000 for the regular games compared to the Cardinal game. 5,000 times
Well, we
5, that would be
yeah,
25,000.
we did sell 10,000 for the South game this year, and we sold
Oh, you did?
7,000 for the Los Fresnos game. Yeah.
Uh,
Brownsville schools is where we struggle because they bring like 20 people.
So paying for this $1 fee, then roughly, just using my rough estimate, we could end up paying 42,000 if we take the dollar fee.
Another thing that's important to note is we're never going to touch money physically.
Exactly, it's
You
still
know,
a win-win situation.
Also, you think of the manpower that it takes to do all that, especially like when season ticket holders, when they go out there and you have that line. And so you're talking about, you're going to also lessen your costs in another way, you know, as far as, like I said, our manpower. And then also not having to deal with deposits and the money and counting. That puts in more time for our employees.
I like the idea.
Good? It's all yours.
Thank you, Coach Gomez.
Thank you, Coach.
Go Hounds.
One of the other things that I really liked about it was that we can determine who has access to what, how they can view it. So the athletic department would be able to view the information, especially the revenues, as they do their reports and their UIL reports, and we get to see what's coming in and match it up with what the bank shows. And I thought that was really interesting that we can determine who gets what level of what. And so that, again, this is not just something that we could do with athletics, but pretty much anything that we wanted to.
And I imagine this would be usable for the people that buy the season tickets also, right?
Oh, yes,
They'll have a way to do that.
absolutely, yes.
Okay, this becomes an agenda item.
Thank you.
And the next part, 3.1, any committee concerns, questions that we need to address? No? At this time, then I adjourn the Finance Committee meeting at 8:11.